Hello, everyone. Welcome to India Calling. Today with us, we have Miriam, all the way from Zurich, Switzerland. You can see me wide smile, the moment I say Switzerland. Yeah, all of us have that as a dream destination that she lives there. Miriam is a seasoned yoga teacher and she bridges the Slavic and, Chinese and Indian culture together. She's all the tri-culture, she's able to bring it together. And it's not only that, I think bringing together people is part of her being because she also brings together yoga teachers and she has a community of yoga teachers, in Zurich. We would get to talk more about that, and of course, she leads a lot of retreats in India. So her India experience and her community. Yeah, let's dive straight in. Miriam, over to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on this podcast. Thank you so much. It's such an honor. I would never have thought that I am asked to do a podcast and share my experience. So I feel very honored. Thank you so much. Yeah. I think you've
Yeah.
mentioned what I do. I teach here in Zurich, and from time to time I to Rishikesh. Not closely enough, or not as much as I wish I could go, but I try to go whenever I can.
So my first question to you is, what was the first calling that happened to India? How did the journey itself begin? Take me to the earliest days that you remember about India, how your yoga journey started.
Well, there's different time frames to that. My first interest in India was through books. I used to be obsessed with this one author, Federica De Cesco. Maybe some of you know her, and she has many stories written in India, and that was for me so fascinating to read those novels and imagine being there. And then from another angle of life, I started doing on YouTube some yoga classes and went to my first yoga classes here in Switzerland when I was maybe 13, 12. And by the age of 19, I believe it was that age. I'm not too sure anymore. I saw another video on YouTube of someone who went to a yoga teacher training. And it was for me like, what? There is such a thing? Like a yoga teacher training? What is that?
Uh,
And I remember watching that video in the evening, and I got such an impulsive desire to look into that. And that same evening, it must have been by 2 o'clock in the morning, I booked my retreat, my teacher training in Rishikesh.
well,
And I
which year
just
was it?
this was in 2018, I believe. So not too long ago, 2018. Yeah, so I was around 20 at that time. And I booked the teacher training, and I wasn't intending on becoming a yoga teacher. I just wanted to learn about yoga and visit India, this place that was so full of mystery for me and so full of colors and
Very nice.
yeah.
Very nice. A lot of teachers, yoga teachers, especially in the West, tell me that, initially they started with asanas. That is how they discovered yoga. But then it moved from a physical plane to a all new different plane. Was that the journey that you had as well? Could you share something light on that?
Yeah, I think it was. I have meditated before, and I was very much interested in philosophy and different forms of realizing the self, different schools of thought, but I didn't connect that yoga is that there is no yoga and meditation, that it's not separate. If we look at like a train that rides and stops at the different stations, one of the station is Asana, and for many, many people, that's the station they hop on and hop off of as well. I think for me, that was the case too. But then I continued, and I hope to go to the end destination in one lifetime, not this lifetime.
What was your first reaction when you landed in India?
Oh God. So I had such a long, it took me like 34 hours because I booked the cheapest ticket that I could book back then. And it was such a long journey. I think I stopped in Abu Dhabi, I believe, and then I continued to Delhi. And when I arrived to this airport with the mudras, the airport, it was like I thought there was a fire in the airport. I remember that vividly. I thought there was a fire. Um, and I was like, you know, the air was like with smoke, filled with smoke. And it was only later that I realized, oh wow, it's the smog, it's the pollution of the air. And there was this distinct smell that till this day, when I arrive to Delhi, I travel back in time because it has a certain smell for me that I've come to love, and it feels so familiar now. So yeah, that was my first thought, like, oh, is there a fire? My first physical impression. Yeah.
And how was it when you started going into places away from Delhi, right? Like be it Rishikesh or outskirts of Delhi. How was that feeling?
It was still overwhelming for me at the beginning, the first time that I went there. Just there was this sensory overload that it took me maybe 3 days to normalize it for my system. And I was in Rishikesh. That's nothing compared. It's pretty calm, or it was pretty calm. Now it has changed as well. It was pretty calm, and we were near the forest, and it took me around 3 days, yes, to get accustomed to the horning sounds, to life happening at any hour of the day. Here in Zurich, after 8 o'clock in the evening, there is nobody on the streets. It's the shops closed. It's, there is horning is not allowed. You can horn with the lights, but you're not really allowed to. And so for me, it was, wow, this is so much. By the end of my trip, I, and now till this day, when I hear the horning sound, I'm like, this is beautiful. I wish I could hear it more.
How
Yeah.
has things changed, from the time you arrived in India to multiple visits to India now? If you have to look back, what is one thing that has, what are the few things that you think you have imbibed from Indian visits?
One thing that, with every time, I feel India for me has been a place, and I haven't traveled it enough. But so far, it has really been a place that shows me where I have to purify my heart further and further, and where I can break it open even more. And with every time that I return, it's hard for me to return. I wish I could stay, and I struggle coming back, because for me, being there is like tasting the fruits of my meditation, tasting the fruits of my practice, and putting it into action. And in the moment that I can come back, it's time to work on the field. It's time to work on the soil that allows me to then go back to India and enjoy practicing in groups, going to the temples, just seeing life in all of its colors, life and death that are so close. And coming back is hard, but at the same time, it teaches me to, wow, how can I let go of this greediness of my heart, of wanting to taste the fruits, the sweetness of India, and staying there and just, wow, immerse myself into it? How can I have that patience, that understanding that it's something I need to earn? It's something that here, by walking here in Zurich and sharing what I have learned with humility and with as much of my devotion as I can, how can I do that here and then return as a gift to India and
Wow.
throw everything back? So I'm
Like,
not sure if I have answered to the
yeah,
question.
yeah. You've shared your full feelings. Was there a specific moment, energetically or spiritually, where you just felt everything just fell into place? Did you have that sort of feeling?
I had,
Yeah,
I had many
please
of
tell
these.
us more about it.
See, even just thinking about that, I have tears coming up. Sorry. I've had many such moments where, no, it's like life just stops, and for a moment you soak in that understanding of, wow, I'm alive, and I get to, in this lifetime, be in this beautiful place. One of these moments, maybe I can share two. One of these moments was, I had read a book, The Forest of Enchantments, and it was the story of the Ramayana, but from Sita's perspective. Sita's perspective, and I fell in love with this book. I read it like twice. It was so beautiful for me. And then I went to Rishikesh and I went to Parmat Niketan to visit the temple, but I hadn't really explored that area before because I was staying at the other side, and then suddenly I walk in there and I see this huge statue of Hanumanji tearing his
Wow.
heart open.
Wow.
At that moment for me, I felt all these goosebumps in my entire body, and knowing the story behind it, I couldn't help but just cry. Yeah, out of the marvel, out of being in awe. And another moment was when my teacher, he wanted to take me to his favorite food, rajma rice.
No, 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 no.
Rajma. So I hopped on his scooter and we went more to the local area in Rishikesh city, and we stopped. It's like a street food vendor, and we stopped there, and an old sir invited us, an elder sir invited us into the inside room where there was really just one fridge, Durga and Sita and
Oh,
Rama hanging on the wall, and a little kitchen. And this gentleman, he asked us for chai if we wanted to have some chai, and he prepared the chai with so much. It was so beautiful just to see the care that he put into preparing this chai, and handed us this cup. And that was for me a moment sitting in this little place indoor with the pink walls and this old fridge, and looking outside at people passing by and dogs barking and the cars. And it was such a beautiful moment, so touching, how much life there was in the simplicity of this place. And yeah, it was such a gift. Yes.
would you like to share some about your favorite places in Rishikesh as well? Like,
My
what would you suggest for travelers who are going to Rishikesh, because you've been there multiple times now? So,
My favorite place. I suggest for travelers to have the courage to explore, to go down to Ganga and to walk alongside Ganga. To, when you see a temple, to enter it, to ask for permission if you can enter it, and to really have the courage to go outside the places that maybe are recommended. Like everybody goes to Kunjapuri temple, everybody goes to the cafes that are recommended, but to actually get curious and enter places, even if you're not too sure of how to enter them, and to then ask. And of course, the best thing is having a person that lives there, a local who can show you around. And I had this beautiful, like another friend of mine, now friend, he lives in Rishikesh, and he took me to see the Devi Dori in his village, and that was so beautiful to see as well. It's something that I could never have seen had it not been for him. So yeah, get curious and really explore. Go beyond the things that maybe a retreat or a teacher training offers. And yeah.
which was the first temple that you stepped into? Do you remember that?
The first temple that I stepped into, I need to think about it. I believe it
If it's hard, you
was
can tell me your favorite, the first one that hit you.
the
This
first
is
one.
what then that's like connected with you. Like, are you connected with?
There's one temple. It's actually in the cake of things. So it's not too far. There's many beautiful, like the Balkumari, I found it beautiful. The Nilakanta temple is beautiful. But there's one really in Rishikesh by Lakshman Jula, by the bridge. If, like, before crossing the bridge, there is a temple with a very, very big, I think it's the biggest Shivling in Rishikesh. It's a
Okay.
very, very big Shivling. And the temple is
Okay.
quite small. But and it's hidden as well. But there is this huge shivling, and for me, it was, I don't know, that really touched me. Maybe that's because I also feel most connected to Shiva. So, and the priest inside, he allowed me, he took me around, and he made a little puja, and he went with me upstairs so we could offer milk and flowers to the Shivling, and that was really touching for me.
Wow.
But temples, there is, for me, Ganga is the temple. Going to Ganga and just, placing your hands into the water, that's for me is a temple. For me, all of Rishikesh is a temple. It's a portal. Yeah, it can be
Beautiful.
anywhere.
Share your experience about Ganga. I'm really curious. Your experiences with the Ganga in Rishikesh.
The first experience was a little traumatic. So back then, I really didn't know who is Ganga. What's her story? I didn't know, and I went as part of the teacher training. I went rafting on her. Something I wouldn't do anymore personally, but we went river rafting, and it was in January. Ganga is cold. She's
Yeah,
strong in January. She's cold,
yeah, yeah.
and the guide thought it would be funny to push me into the water. And so that was my first experience with Ganga. I was pushed into the cold water. I was so scared. Like when I was young, I almost drowned in a lake. So I had a bit of this experience coming back up, and I was so scared. It was cold, and I was confronted with, like, how can someone push me into the water, and I'm scared and I need help. And I think this is very symbolic of what Ganga can do to you.
No, no,
It
no.
can really strip away all your. So this was my first experience, but I've had afterwards such beautiful, heartwarming experience just sitting by Ganga and singing to her during my japa there.
Is that your routine when you're at Rishikesh? I can already feel that. This is what you do when you're in Rishikesh. Sit by the Ganga, chant.
Yes, close my eyes and just sit there. Yeah, I don't do the dips as much as I wish I could, because so far I went there mostly in January when it was really cold, and then dipping. But I did do some dips now. This time I was there in
Okay.
April,
Yeah.
so yeah, perfect time. Yeah, it was beautiful.
At Smriti, we often talk about Dharma as a guiding principle. You know, uh, how do you see that part? In Zurich, reflecting in your personal Dharma.
For me, everything that I know I owe to my teachers, and I owe to India. Everything that I know and how I move in the past years in Zurich, this is thanks to all the wisdom that I have been handed. And my dharma, my purpose here is to, in the best way that I can, share what I have been given without adding my own stuff to it, but share it as purely as I can to the people here. Um, that's my purpose. That's my
Beautiful.
purpose.
According to you, what is a major misconception about India that people in Switzerland or around Europe have that you would like to change?
A misconception that I'd like to change. That it's dangerous. I hear
Sorry?
that a lot, that it's dangerous.
Okay.
That it's dangerous to go there, especially as a female on your own, that it's dangerous. This is a misconception that I'd like to change, because in my experience, it hasn't been dangerous. In my experience, I've felt so safe. I've felt so held. And yes, one has to be aware of cultural differences, that maybe I shouldn't be smiling at everyone too much or having too many eye contacts, because that can be inviting. I would feel it's a shame not to go out of fear of something happening. That's a misconception. Yeah. There are many stereotypes made
I know.
as people. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was really going to say, when like a lot of women travelers, solo travelers have a, fear problem. And mostly travelers also go into spaces that are not very remote, that are usually, in the tourist destination, or they have like a local safe company with them, to travel around. Because in India, you find a lot of friends as well. Like people are always willing to show you around. People are willing to take you to their homes, share their
Yeah.
food, all that keeps happening. So navigating it safely is important. Yeah, like you said, danger is not out there when
I feel like it's everywhere. If you go alone at 11 in the evening to some place that is known for people drinking there, for example, then yeah, you're putting yourself into danger, but that's everywhere in the world. Yeah, as long, I think having a friend or someone that you can go with is always best, but that's everywhere in the world, really.
That brings to my next question. Did you make friends in India?
Sorry?
Did you make friends in India?
Oh my God, you cannot not make friends in India. You cannot not make friends. It's really, so far people have been so inviting and so generous with their time, sometimes I think, wow, how do they trust me?
No.
Want to go, have chai. Yeah, you can spend all day drinking chai. I think when I'm in India, I drink maybe 7 chais a day.
Right.
Yeah. Even not only with friends, with human friends, but also with furry friends. I've made so many dog friends and cow friends
Wow.
that when I go, I say hello to them and they remember me, and we cuddle and we spend time together.
Nice. So do they recognize you because you keep coming as well? So do these guys recognize you now? Yeah. Really.
They
Wow.
recognize
Very
me.
nice.
And there is one of them, Gary. She is, my goodness. She follows me around and she can smell me now. So one time it was in the morning. She's living by a cafe. That's where she hangs around. And the cafe closes the doors like before opening outdoors. And I'm passing by and I can hear her whine because she smells me. And she's like, she can smell me pass by, and I feel so sorry. I'm gonna come later. God, you don't worry.
How has your integration of all these spiritual practices happened in your personal life? Uh, this is my last question about your personal life. I think after this, we talk about your community as well. But if you could share how much of this is integrated, because I know that you chant mantras, you practice yoga and meditation. So yeah, if you could share some like.
It started with asana. That's what it started with. And I think yoga it just has this attribute that it will enter your life and just spread and take over everything if you allow it. And for me, that's what's happened. It has, in my personal life, it has become my actual livelihood. That's what I do. And it's in every part of my personal life. Most of my day, I spend either practicing, be it meditation or chanting or reading the scriptures in the various forms that yoga appears, or I am teaching, or I am doing just something that has to do with the yoga. And so much so that I have actually turned the guest room that we have into my practicing room with my altar where I can pray, where I can meditate, and my free time is spent on doing this. It's when I am not organizing an event where I'm chanting and doing a circle of storytelling and sharing the stories of who is Shiva and who is Ekadanta and what are the stories behind that. If I'm not doing that, I'm reading about it, or I am meeting people, meeting students and talking with them about how life has been, how it's in every part of life.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, beautiful. Tell us about, how you're sharing this light in Zurich, because I know that's the major part of your time is spent there. So tell us about your yoga classes and tell us about your community.
Yeah, I teach regular weekly classes, drop-in classes, but I'm also hosting circles of singing, of chanting mantra. And here I am hosting different kinds of circles. One is a bhakti circle where we really chant mantras and go into the meditation of the mantras, into the devotion. So these are very ecstatic, emotionally fulfilling circles. I also have mantra circles that are more meditative. So where we learn, first of all, what is this mantra? Who are we singing to? What is the story behind it? So here my intention is to the best of my ability. This is not my culture. It's not where I grew up, but to the best of my ability, share what I have learned and what has been given to me of telling them, yeah, who is Sita, who is Rama. What does the mantra mean, and how can you imagine it in a timeline of the stories, and to then meditate on their names? I have the teacher circles as well. So one thing that is really missing in Zurich, and I think in many other places as well, is the Sangha, the community aspect of, hey, we're all doing this practice, and it comes with beautiful things and joys, but also with so many doubts and struggles and hardships that sometimes we don't even have the courage to talk about. So my intention has been to little circles where we talk about these joys and also these taboo topics, these issues that we have, like I'm struggling to do my practice, or I'm at a point of my practice where I don't feel inspired. What do I do now? These things. And this is a circle that we hold once a month, and we talk about things. And it's funny because when I shared it with my friend in Rishikesh, with Sajan, he was like, but isn't this what you do anyway? And it's like, no, it's not. Here it isn't. So we have to make on purpose like an event out of it, where people can come and actually have that space to share these things. Because otherwise it's not in our culture so much to be in the community. Yeah, so I also have classes of meditation where we learn different meditation techniques.
Very nice. I had a follow up, but I lost it. So
That's okay.
in these communities, one other thing that I've noticed is generally people like I come from a Catholic family. I was born and raised Catholic. Luckily for me, from my childhood, I was also with Swami Vivekananda school. For me, there was never a conflict, in terms of what is what. Have you also seen, members go into this conflict? Have you noticed this? And what do you tell people generally who think it's wrong to do yoga because it's not in their faith?
Yes. Yeah. This is a big thing. Yeah. Of thinking that, oh, but I cannot chant or utter the word of a different God because I am Christian, or my God is Allah, or whoever. I cannot join my palms because this is a prayer that I do for my own God. And part of also the mantra meditations is to really make them understand and see that these in Hinduism and in yoga, these are not gods that sit up in the sky somewhere and look down upon us and we pray to them. They are within us. They are qualities that are within us. They're not outside of us, and that we carry these attributes. We carry Durga within us. We carry Hanumanji within us. These are attributes that by praying to them and meditating on them, we can evoke them within us. So there is no conflict. It's non-sectarian. You can be from whatever religion or school of thought or belief system and still practice yoga. And I believe what it's going to make is to make your bhakti, your bhava, your emotion, your belief even stronger when you allow for it to really be part of you and understand, wow, I'm not different from it. This is all me everywhere. And for me, I think it's not a conflict, but one supports the other. And I was raised Catholic too, by the way. My father, for the longest time, he was a Franciscan monk or brother yes. And I was raised with those values. It's interesting that you mentioned it because with my dad, I hold the mantra meditations. And just recently, so usually these are mantras for Shiva, for Kali, for, but recently on Easter, we invited also an evening where we chanted mantras, chants for Jesus consciousness, for Saint Francis, San Francesco from Assisi. And it's the same. It's the same emotion, just that these are mantras that come from our land, from our culture here. And this has also been very beautiful to invite people through the ability to get to know about all these gods and deities, to also get in touch with their own and what their own land and root has to offer, to reconnect to that as well and see that It's all one and the same. But yes, for many people, we need to go through a round
Yeah.
to come back
Yeah.
to that.
All leading to there is a oversaturation of yoga in the West. You also pointed it out, many times before in our conversations. How do you help, teachers in your circle move past the sort of competition mindset as opposed to a community of well-being or growth oriented or being in and out? Like, how do you cultivate that?
It's a good question because one thing is, yes, this oversaturation that really has an impact on the livelihood of yoga teachers here. And this is one aspect that is important to talk about. And here we can go into, well, how do you become more visible and and all of these things. This is business related. So big part of our circles is to bring into this discussion, would you continue teaching if you made no money out of it? If it wasn't your livelihood, your earnings, would you continue to practice? And if the answer is yes, it doesn't really matter much anymore. For me, has been the experience of really coming back to, why do I do this? And if it's for business reasons, I'm not saying it's wrong. This would be another interesting thing to talk about. But if it's for business, then yeah, likely it's going to end very soon because there is oversaturation, and yoga was never meant to be a teacher. Being a yoga teacher, a business. Being a yoga teacher was never meant to be a job description. So no wonder it's not working. And I'm happy that it's not working because it forces us to really question, why are we doing it? What is my intention behind it? And can I continue to live the practices in my life, first and foremost as a student, without thinking about being a teacher? Can I continue being a student and come back to my intention, come back to what this is about without getting lost in the business aspect, in the money, and having to fill the classes up and being more visible and making viral videos? This is not something that makes you go viral. This is not what it is about. So yeah. And if I feel that if someone feels it within themselves, but I want to make money from it and this is my business, then maybe going for Pilates or a different practice makes more sense.
And that also leads me to my next question, doing yoga in a studio in Switzerland, as opposed to walking in the streets of India or in a quiet environment, like you said, the furry beings, dogs, cows, and monkeys. How would you translate this, the raw and chaotic energy of India versus or a structured, a puja in a temple to a yoga studio in Switzerland?
In the end, if you cultivate that emotion and that feeling within you, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you are in India and you're seeing all these colors of life and you can live it in every moment. The job, I believe, is to cultivate that emotion so strongly, that gratitude, that love so strongly that you can give it, offer it in a structured yoga studio in a 1 hour class. This is our job, to try to find that little spot, that concentrated, condensed spark that we can offer that here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
What the
difficult task.
It is, right? And like, I think I also get what you're saying, right? Like, even for me to even like think of it, like I traveled across India for a few years, but all these things existed as different codes or different feelings, all that. But the real integration into my being, like how you put together in words, right? Like for me, happened after being in India, like taking that travel across India. Would it be fair to say for you also the integration happened in India journey? Like, did the India journey help in terms of your integration?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, because you learn about you read the Gita and all of that, and you can have it in theory in mind, but putting it into practice and integrating that, embodying it, is where the work is done. We can remain in this wish to reach mukti and samadhi and have it in the mind, but how do we embody it in this lifetime. This is that spiritual practice. How do I bring that here with my neighbor when I go to the supermarket, when I'm in traffic? And when I am in India, I have time, I have enough space to actually embody it. And I think it's on one hand, it's something that happens on the nervous system level where I can really, really understand what I've been reading about and put it into practice in the life. Usually when you're traveling, that's all that you do. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to have something on the side. You can actually invest the time to put into practice what you've been learning. And that then stays. I feel like once it makes click for some time, and then you return and you try your best to maintain that for as long as you can.
Mhm. Sure.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely.
But I also,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's a good question because on one hand, India is the integration part, but also coming back is a continuation of that integration. Maybe for many people, India is that wake up call, and then you have the chance to integrate that once you're back home.
What is the one thing that you would recommend to, or what's the one thing that you would tell people who are learning yoga, being in this part of Indian spirituality? What would you tell them if something is stopping them from going back to India? What is the one thing that you tell them?
Is something is stopping them from going back to India?
Yeah, something in their mind is stopping them, or uh, they really want to go because everybody keeps talking about, India is calling me, but you know, so how do you convince them to go?
It's a good question. How do I convince them?
I mean, not convince. Okay, convince is a bad word. Like,
No, it's a good word, but it's hard to, because how do you convey an
yeah,
emotion? How do you, the way that I mean, this has been part of, I did a retreat, and part of it was
yeah,
convincing people, let's go to Rishikesh, and
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
I found it easier to convince them by showing videos of my time spent there, the sounds, the colors, and just name, how do I put this into words? Words
yeah,
cannot express this. So feel into it, look at these images, try to connect with your heart when you are looking into that. And it's a
yeah,
feeling that I can convey,
yeah,
not really a logic. And perhaps, like with ratio, one thing would be, hey, if you've been practicing yoga, go and see where it came from. Give that thanks. Go say thank you to the land that has given you this knowledge, and offer something to this land. Offer your time of traveling there as you're showing gratitude. This would be one way, and another way is realizing this is going to put to test. If it's your first time in India, this is going to test you. Do you have that calmness within you among all the sounds and the colors and the smells? Can you have your heart so pure that you find compassion and you find love for all aspects of life that you may not understand, but can you include them into you and your love? Everything. So for me, yoga is inclusion. Can you make it all part of you and be part of all as well?
wow. You keep coming back to India. What is the one thing? I know you also travel across Southeast Asia. What is that one thing you simply cannot find anywhere else in the world but unique to India?
My friends, I go there to see them, and and that's it.
Wow. I think it's very simple. It's nothing
No,
complicated. You just
no,
being in
it's
India
so
is just being
fun.
yourself.
Yes, to have time with them, and this is just, and that's it. We ride the motorbike with them, and every time we pass by a temple, do the little head nod to have chai, to say hello to the people that I know. It was sweet. This time, Gopi, he has his cafe, and when I was there the first time, he had his cafe by the other side of the bridge, and now he has his own cafe, and just going by and saying hello, how are you?
But that brings me to the last question. Actually, I'm done. Like, that's my last. But yeah, I have got. everything that I want from you. But it would be nice if you can share how our readers can, podcast viewers can get in touch with you. If they want to take your classes or join your retreats in the future. How can they? Where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. I guess that you're going to tag me
Yeah,
in this.
I will. I will. If you can just tell your website as well, that'll be nice.
Yes, my website is www.aum, like the Omkara, aumii.com, aumiri.com. I started doing Instagram a year ago, and my brother-in-law, he told me I should do something with my name, but put it in a word game. So I was like, he mentioned medium or
And
oh
okay.
midi, and I was like, okay.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. That's so cool. Lovely to have you on this show today. Thank you so much for sharing your deep personal reflections about India and your experience in India with all of us.
Beautiful. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you are.
And so honored that I could speak and share my little nothing. But thank you so much for having me here. And let's see what can spring from what can blossom.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much, Miriam. You take
Thank
care.
you so much. Take care as well. I hear you.
Bye, bye.